And what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. I know I'm just a little behind. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, let's just get right into it. So I have a number of things that I want to share with you this evening. A number of things, a whole bunch of different things, because so much is happening. But as usual, if this is your first time tuning in and you're on Facebook, please type in !notify, just like you see it right there. It's all one word. For some reason, some people just do an I. It's an ! You hit shift and the number 1 on the keyboard, right? ! Notify, one word on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up and the share button as well. Same thing with Rumble. Okay, let's get into it because we're going to run out of time here. MS-13. I call them Joe's MS-13. And I call them Joe's MS-13 because Joe Biden has opened the border for these criminals to come in. Hardened criminals. And of course, Mayorkas refused to do anything about it. Joe Biden most definitely not going to do anything about it. And Kamala Harris, being the border czar, she refused to even think about the border. She has more other woke issues to deal with, right? The border, who cares about the border? It's only bringing fentanyl into the country. It's only bringing murderers and rapists into the country, doing all this terrible stuff. Who cares about all of that? Especially when it comes to the Democrats, they kind of enjoy that. They embrace that. Look at this first one that I have to share with you. Another report about what's happening on the border. The border crisis has not gone away. It's been years now, over 2 years with a major border crisis. And you're talking about millions upon millions of people coming into the country. And then all of a sudden you get the liberal media, the government state media to stop talking about the southern border. And then a lot of people think like the border issue just fade away, like it's been resolved. It hasn't been resolved. You got killers, child rapists coming into the country because of Joe Biden. And it is straight up Biden's MS-13.
Take a look at this picture here from right here in Maverick County where we are. Texas Rangers and special operators arresting this Honduran national they found hiding on a train trying to get deeper into the U.S. Turns out they run his name. He is a confirmed MS-13 gang member, a registered sex offender who has crossed illegally 4 times before, and he's got a lengthy criminal history, violent, including kidnapping, abduction, and sexually violent crimes. Back out here live, authorities announcing yesterday that a Venezuelan migrant was arrested for raping a woman right in front of her 3-year-old child.
Are you hearing this? This monster raped this woman in front of her child. And where's the Biden regime at? Where are they at on this? Do you hear anything from them? Do you hear anything on the dinosaur government state media about this? Absolutely not.
It's happened in upstate New York in a hotel room. One of those migrants who crossed illegally, got sent to New York, and is now arrested for rape.
Wow, in New York. New York is now a border state, right? And you have the idiot Mayor Adams in New York saying that, we need to call it a crisis. It's been a crisis. A national emergency. It's been a national emergency ever since Joe Biden removed everything that President Trump had in place to protect and defend the American people. This dude is not for the American people. It's so bad, you even have these nut job Democrats even talking about how bad it is. They're even saying that we need a leader. And because Joe Biden is not leading us. Split screen it for me. Y'all seen this idiot before? Look at this dude here. Now he's from New York and he's up there screaming, kicking and screaming because of the situation that's happening in New York. It's total chaos. And it's not and the only reason why he wants Joe Biden to do anything about it, because they don't care about the people in New York. They really don't. If you know somebody in New York, can y'all tag them for me? Tag them and say, yo, check this out. Tag them and say, hey, is this happening in your city, in your state? Tag them if you know somebody in New York. Because listen to what he says. Listen to what he says about Joe Biden. And this dude's a total tyrant.
We need leadership from President Biden, period. Democrats are looking bad right now in New York State, and that's unacceptable when we have to win at least 4 congressional seats to take back the House. So hopefully the president is listening.
See, I told y'all that's the only reason why he wants Joe Biden to pay attention, because we could lose seats because of all of the stuff that you've done, because Joe Biden shipped these people to New York. Joe Biden did that. Ron DeSantis didn't do that. Governor Abbott didn't do that. Joe Biden sent these people to New York. Joe Biden put them on airplanes and buses. Speaking about buses, let me show you this. Y'all remember Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, and wasn't even Joe Biden, Shannon, showed up to this plant, this electrical plant for buses?
He didn't show up there, but he did.
Talked about it, right?
Yeah, he did.
They were like championing behind it, right?
Yeah, he did like an online thing with them.
Look at this, everybody. Look at this. This was on prime time with Jesse. I do like Jesse. I do. I mean, I still wish Tucker was there, but Jesse, I like Jesse. Okay, I do like Jesse. Listen to this, because this bus situation, this is something else that the government state media refused to talk about.
Kamala Harris was in Philadelphia today talking about her most cherished thing.
Workers are building electric buses so people can get where they need to go.
What the vice president didn't tell you was America's biggest electric bus company just went belly up.
It just went belly up. It just went belly up. And when my producer, Shannon, was telling me the first time about this story about the buses, and she said, "You remember Kamala Harris and the buses?" And I said, "Yeah, I remember doing the primary where Kamala Harris was on the debate stage against Joe Biden, and she brought up about being in the back of the bus. And she said that was her, like she's black and she's not black, but she tried to say Joe Biden was racist during the primary. This is amazing."
Well, she went to the plant, actually.
I know, but this is about the plant. This is about the plant, okay? Yeah. I'm just saying what I first thought about when it came to Kamala Harris, because she tried to say Joe Biden was racist. And Joe Biden is racist. We all agree on that. But listen to this about this electrical plant, about these buses that went belly up.
The company's called Proterra, and it filed for bankruptcy this week. Proterra was Biden and Kamala's golden boy. It was the company that was supposed to eradicate diesel. Taxpayers were funding it, and now the money's gone. We don't know how many possible hundreds of millions of dollars we lost. We don't know where the money went. But we do know this bankrupt electric bus company had access to at least $8 billion.
$8 billion. And you know what it made me think about, Shannon? It's like in California, they did a gas tax. And people like complained about the gas tax, and they implemented it regardless what the people wanted in the state. They said they were going to take the gas tax and apply it to the roads and to the infrastructure of California. And then about a year or two later, they did another gas tax. And then they went to the local state government and they asked them, what happened to the money from the last gas tax? Their response was, we don't know.
Yeah, there's no accountability in California.
We don't know. And Gruesome Newsom, he's going to do the exact same thing if he ever walks through the White House doors. It'd be the exact same thing. Look, they're already doing it, and Gruesome Newsom is not even there. $8 billion, and it's just gone.
Democrats thought they picked a winner. Kamala toured their factory. Mayor Pete toured their factory. Even Biden touted it.
We ought to be the single most significant suppliers of electric buses and vehicles in the world. You guys are getting us in the game. It's going to make a lot of difference.
Well, now they're out of the game because the company was a scam. In California, the buses caught on fire. In Philly, they broke down. And in Alaska, the batteries froze in the cold. And in Minnesota, they stalled out on the hills. The wheels on the bus do not go round and round. And it takes a year to fix an electric bus because the parts are so rare. So why would the Democrats invest so much political capital and taxpayer capital in a broken electric bus company? Because it was a pump and dump scheme. Al Gore had millions invested in the company while he was lobbying the White House to herald it. George Soros had over $20 million invested in Proterra. Jennifer Granholm, Biden's energy secretary, sat on the company's board.
I mean, isn't this like conflict of interest? Is this like, not only will we do insider trading, but we'll be on these boards with the trading to make sure it goes through.
Yeah,
I mean, this This is
Right?
like this is like the Biden corruption, the Biden crime family corruption, but they're all in on it too. They're like, well, Biden is doing it and getting away with it. We might as well do it too. This is what the Biden regime is all about. Total corruption, insider trading, money laundering, and beating out the American people.
She held stock in Proterra while she was secretary and then sold it for about $1.5 million. Joe Biden even put the Proterra CEO on a prestigious government board. And reports say Proterra insiders dumped their stock before the company went bankrupt. This was a political pump and dump. Cash out before the crash. Proterra stock is now worth 17 cents a share. This is like Solyndra. House Republicans need to launch an immediate investigation into this taxpayer-funded scam that Biden donors and cronies made a fortune from.
Somebody needs to go to prison. Somebody needs to go to prison. I mean, really, imagine. So they all cashed out early. They cashed out, got their money. Oh, we see we're about to crash, cash out. Then wait a minute. Wasn't there a leftist bank in California and San Francisco that did the same thing? They saw it was about to collapse, and what they do? Cashed out. And everybody else, they were just left in the wind, left out to dry. It kind of sounds like Enron all over again. When Enron happened, people lost their savings, people lost their money, their income, everything, just bam, overnight. And here it is happening again, but this time, it's like the federal government doing it. The federal government should never be in the business of doing business. You understand what I'm saying? The federal government is there to do the will of the people. They're not a business. They don't operate as a business. But you know what? The whole thing about this bus company collapsing, what do you think they want for the rest of the country? Do you think it's just that one business? Look what they did to all the small mom and pop shops. They're crushing all of them. Well, let me share this one with you because, like I told you, I have a lot to share with y'all tonight, and I want to share this with you as well. Afghanistan. You remember what happened in Afghanistan? Remember, Joe Biden said it was a job well done. Remember, he had to look at his watch and be like, man, these 13 soldiers, I got somewhere else to be. Y'all remember that. What a disgrace. 100% disgrace. These 13 soldiers lost their lives because of Joe Biden. Well, listen to this, what they're asking about. And this is the press. I'm like really kind of like, wow, the press is actually asking questions. Wow, what's really going on? Is the love affair over? But listen to this.
What about,
Go ahead.
do you still believe that this was a success? Because they have a real hard time when the administration calls this withdrawal a success. Do you still believe it was a success?
We believe it was the correct policy choice. But
Was
again,
it a success?
hold on. We believe it was the correct policy choice. But again, I would never want to quibble with a family member who has suffered such an enormous tragedy.
But I think that word is.
I'm going to move on to someone else.
You call it.
I'm going to move on, right? Because he does not like the questioning that she's asking him. And all you have to do, if it was a success, then say, yes, it was a success. If it wasn't, you know what he should have said? Look, the loss of life is never a success. There was things that could have been done differently. In hindsight, 2020, we probably should have taken certain things different route. I think people would accept that because we see how bad it is. We all agreed that with the way the Biden regime withdrew from Afghanistan was terrible. I think we're all in agreement on that. We're in agreement on that. So just admit it. Say, look, the loss of life, these 13 soldiers should have never happened, but it did happen. And now we have to deal with the outfall from it. Is that how do you say it? The fallout. We have to deal from the fallout from it. It's never good. But see, they don't want to say it is a success because you had 13 military personnel lose their life because of Joe Biden's stupidity. Here's another one where they're asking this guy from the DOJ, asking him about where was the Biden regime transparent They'd never been transparent about anything, and they kept trying to tout that they were going to be transparent on everything. Listen.
Do you think, though, that they should be satisfied, they and that the committee and the families of the 13 should be satisfied with what has been released thus far?
Again, I'm reluctant to speak about this in detail, not knowing what the latest status of the discussions with the committee
are. Yeah, I know, but do you think that you've fulfilled your obligations or your commitments to, being transparent about?
I believe we've been incredibly transparent about the actions this department has taken. But with respect to requests from the committee, I've seen a number of requests come in. I know we've been in discussions with them, but I don't want to characterize those, given that I'm just not sure where Congress is in recess right now. Discussions have obviously slowed down over the recess, so I don't want to comment on detail in the middle of those discussions.
I would just point out that I think that there are people who would take issue with the incredibly transparent line, considering it took how many weeks, months for them to even be able to see the dissent cable and response.
Understood.
I mean, it's just like everything else. It's like Karine Jean-Pierre, everyone that works for the Biden regime is like, just deflect from it. Don't even talk about it. Deflect from it. We don't want to talk about it at all. At all. Let me bring this to your attention. And go ahead and make this full screen. This is about them deleting documents or destroying evidence when they're going after President Trump. I told you I have so many different stories for y'all. If you haven't hit the share button as of yet, please do. If you're listening on the audio podcast, please share the audio podcast as well. Listen to this. This is President Trump. He put out on True Social. He said, just found out that crooked Joe Biden's DOJ secretly attacked my Twitter account. They did it without President Trump knowing about it, making it a point not to let me know about this major hit on my civil rights. My political opponent is going crazy trying to infringe on my campaign for president. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Does the First Amendment still exist? ? Did deranged Jack Beep Smith tell the unselects to destroy and delete all evidence? These are dark days in America. These are dark days in America. Dark days in America. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Why? So think about it like this. You have a prosecutor going after you and they won't even let your lawyers know what's going on. They just want him to go into the courtroom this blind. They want to blindside President Trump as much as possible. And the way it sounds is that they're trying to delete the evidence that's on Twitter. Because if you go back and look at President Trump's Twitter account as of right now on X, if you go look at it, everything that shows on Twitter, it exonerates President Trump for these latest charges. I mean, all of it does. I mean, everything. I'm like, my goodness, he was right. He was right. He was right. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. And it sounds like they're trying, Jack B. Smith is trying to delete all of that data that's on Twitter. Want it deleted because then they can go back and say, you never actually said that. You never actually said this. You never actually said that. I'm hoping that President Trump's lawyers have already downloaded all of that content that was on X or AKA Twitter. I'm hoping that he already downloaded, because if he didn't download it, they're gonna try to blindside him. But you know what? A lot of people have downloaded that content, taking screenshots, everything. So that data is there. Now, let me get to this main thing for tonight. Joe Biden was asked by Peter Doocy about Joe Biden being on the telephone with Hunter Biden's business partners. Devin Archer just the other day went before Congress and he told them that Joe Biden was on the phone at least 20 times. 20 times. And Devin Archer being the liar Devin Archer telling the truth, Goldman being the liar that he is, ran out to the cameras to lie to the liberal government state media. And of course, that's what they ran with, which gave Joe Biden all of the power that he feels that he needs, because Goldman came out and lied for him. Ratskin runs out there and lie for him. And if it's not them, they'll find some other Democrat to go out there and lie for Joe Biden. Look at this clip here with Peter Doocy asking Joe Brandon if he actually was on the phone. He didn't ask me if he's on the phone. He's asking his opinion, your views on it, now that one of Hunter Biden's business partners said that you were on the phone. Listen to Joe Biden deny it and say it's not true. Somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. And have you ever known for Joe to be honest? Anybody?
There's this testimony now where one of your son's former business associates is claiming that you were on speakerphone a lot with them talking business. Is that what?
Never talk business with anybody. And I knew you'd have a lousy question.
Well, what?
So listen to that. He said he never talked business with anyone. I never talked business with anyone. Oh, you talked about the weather more than 20 times. You had dinner with these criminals, actually, but you just talked about the weather with them at dinner as well. Joe Biden is lying through his rabbit teeth.
We're on speakerphone a lot with them talking business. Is that what?
Never talk business with anybody. And I knew you'd have a lousy question.
Well, why is that a lousy question?
Because it's not true.
Is it because it's not true? And you can hear the people in the background. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Pull them away. You know what? It must be interesting, Shannon, to have that job, to every time Joe Biden get in a predicament like that, just to pull him away. It must be interesting. I guess that's a job now. Right? I guess that's a job. Just when he gets in a position, pull him away. Pull him away.
That's for sure.
Pull him away.
It's not a lousy question. And you know what? You can even hear, I can hear him lying in his voice. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what he does. I knew you'd have a lousy question. No, it's a valid question. And I even like how he followed up and said, why is it a lousy question? And really, the purpose is for him to lie again. Because he said, because it's not true. We just know. We just had a person testify against you, basically, saying that you were on the phone.
Yeah. Someone just testified against him. So my thing is, Shannon, what do you think? Do you think Devin Archer went in there and just told the congressman what they wanted to hear, right? Or do you think that he was being honest here? Because he's not, to my understanding, Devin Archer's not going to jail for lying. Like, what was the guy's name that was lying? Michael Cohen. Remember, he went to prison for lying. But Devin Archer is going to jail because of some of the business dealings that he was doing with Hunter Biden.
Well, actually, what he's going to jail with had nothing to do with Hunter Biden.
But it was some of the business dealing that he was doing with Hunter Biden. But Hunter Biden was not involved. But he's going to jail because he was doing corrupt criminal activity.
Yeah.
And same thing he was doing with Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why Devin Archer right now is saying anything, because he's going to jail and Hunter is not. He said, wait a minute, I'm going to jail and I was doing the exact same thing with Hunter.
Yeah. I mean, it's true.
That's what it is.
There's no reason for him to lie at this point. He's not going to get anything else from the Bidens. He knows that. He knows that they're corrupt and he's going down. So why shouldn't they go down? Right? I mean, it's like, hey, listen, I'm going to jail. I mean, you should lose out too. Yeah,
Carl said I saw a comment says Devin Archer is a fall guy. Because I said someone's going to fall for this, right? Because Joe Biden's gonna be like, nope, you keep Hunter out of jail. You have someone else go for him.
And I think and Hunter's the fall guy for the Biden family.
He's probably going to end up being the fall guy for him, right? Yeah. With this corruption. Well, listen to Brian Donalds. Listen to Byron Donalds as he's talking about all this money that Joe Biden has accumulated. Now, Ratskin is literally saying that there's no connections to Joe Biden actually taking in money. Have you ever heard a accessory to a murderer or accessory to a crime? You ever heard of that? Just because you didn't actually do the crime and you knew the crime took place and you didn't report it, you go to jail as well. Did you know that? Did you know that? When you saw someone commit a crime and you didn't say anything, you just let the crime go, they get you as well if they find out that you knew about it. Did you know that? It's called it's an accessory to a crime, right? I always say an accessory to murder, right? When it's murder. But listen to this. Joe Biden is 100% guilty.
Hunter Biden has no business, folks. Joe Biden has no business. There were no services being delivered except for access. And that's what Yelena Baturina basically has now. She escaped the sanctions regime.
We can
from
pop
Joe
her picture
Biden.
up so people can see firsthand.
And everything else.
Yeah, this is, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Congressman. So this is Yelena Baturina. She's Russia's wealthiest woman. She paid Hunter Biden's company more than $3 million. So she directed this payment to a Hunter Biden business venture just weeks before then Vice President Joe Biden dined with her at a cafe in Washington. So what more are we learning about that and about her and that payment?
Well, what we're seeing is that payment was split. I think $750 went to Devin Archer. The rest of it followed Hunter Biden. And then through the account scheme that the Biden family set up when Joe Biden was vice president, the money is filtered through different accounts. Different members of the family are getting checks, etc. And so that is what you see consistently as you go through this. We're in the process of continuing our work of now going through subpoenas for some of these financial documents so we can track the money down. The White House says Joe Biden never got a dime. I don't believe it. And at the end of the day, if Hunter Biden was spending money for his dad on behalf of his dad doesn't have to take a dime. That's facilitating a bribe from the president of the United States through his son.
Exactly. Joe Biden doesn't have to take it and have it in his hands. He doesn't have to have it in his hands. It doesn't even have to be in an account with his name, his signature on it. They used Joe Biden. Joe Biden knew what was happening. He's an accessory. He knew what was going on. He was completely complicit with it.
Yeah. Do you want me to show the article with
Absolutely.
Raskin?
Show the article with Raskin.
So Raskin said regarding the release of the bank documents today, he said that Comer failed to prove any wrongdoing on President Biden's part. Raskin pointed to the fact that bank records do not directly name Joe Biden. Now, that's the whole purpose of having shell companies, right? Anytime you're doing something corrupt, it's because you want to hide something. In this 19-page thing released by Comer and them today, Comer said this. He said, President Biden's defenders purport a weak defense by asserting the committee must show payments directly to the president to show corruption. This is a hollow claim no other American would be afforded if their family members accepted foreign payments or bribes. Indeed, the law recognizes payments to family members to corruptly influence others can constitute a bribe. So they're saying, listen, he could be bribed by way family members. And the law actually says that. And so Raskin and them, they're just playing on words, right? They're saying, oh, because it doesn't directly go into his bank account. Well, how absurd is that? We know
they're deflecting.
They're not that dumb.
They're deflecting. That's exactly what that is. Deflect. So that, and just like this information come out, Raskin ran out there to put out a lie to deflect from it, just like Goldman did when Devin Archer went up there and told the Congress what was going on with Joe Biden being the brand. Nothing happened without the brand. Remember that? Y'all remember that? They used the brand, which was Joe Biden, to make things happen, to get money to move. But Raskin, along with Goldman, they run out there to lie. Well, listen to this, because this was on the Communist News Network, where Elizabeth Warren was asked a question about Joe Biden and all this money. This is the government state media actually asking the questions about all this. You know why? because the left, they're starting to turn on Joe Biden.
Well, there's so much overwhelming,
and it's so much
stuff
overwhelming.
happening.
Yeah, it's
There's
so much overwhelming.
evidence. They're like, we have to address this at some point.
Yeah, listen, watch this. Listen.
Republicans on the House Oversight Committee say that they have identified more than $20 million in payments from foreign sources to the Biden family, including Hunter Biden and their business associates. So far, we haven't seen any direct evidence pointing to Joe Biden, President Biden, doing anything illegal. And
that's not true. There's been plenty of evidence that's been pointing at them doing something illegal. He just listed off all this money, right? He just listed off everything and said they're not doing anything illegal. Oh, well, look, they just robbed the banks, but they didn't do anything illegal. How does that work? How does that work?
Don't necessarily know what's everything that's in this, but I do wonder on a broader level, the 30,000 foot view of this. People close to people close to Joe Biden.
I mean, come on, man. Come on. I mean, they have Donald Trump, President Trump on the mind. Trump lives rent-free in their brains. Y'all just heard him, right? Y'all just heard him. I mean, they want this to be President Trump. That's exactly what this is. They want this type of evidence on President Trump. They would have wet beds, wet dreams if this was President Trump, because they would actually have something on him. But this is Joe Biden. I mean, listen to that. That's, I just caught it that he said that. I'm gonna play it again for everyone because it's really quick. He wants to say Trump. He wants to say Trump.
But I do wonder on a broader level, the 30,000 foot view of this. People close to people close to Joe Biden, or people close to Donald Trump, but I'm talking about Joe Biden.
See that? Or people close to Donald Trump, or people close to Donald Trump. You hear this? No one in President Trump's camp or anybody was embezzling money the way Joe Biden has been doing it. Far as we know, he's still doing it. Far as we know, because he's feel bold enough to do it.
Making tens of millions of dollars because of their closeness to him, that can't be something that you like. That can't be something that you're comfortable with as a phenomenon.
Now, I want y'all to see how she responds to this, right? As a Democrat, you're supposed to say, you know what? We don't like this. This is not really good. We need to wait until all the evidence come out before we jump to the gun. Right? Because I think we all want to agree that if somebody did something wrong, if this was Donald Trump, we would be going after him if he actually did this. If Joe Biden did this, we really need to look into it. Right? That's how you're supposed to say it, right? She's going to deflect. Watch.
Look, I always worry about the influence peddlers in Washington, regardless of party affiliation. One of the things, as you know, I've spent a lot of my time in Congress working on is how we bring just more ethics and more oversight in general to everything that we do in government. We've got a United States Supreme Court where people take gifts and don't even report them, even though the law requires them to report.
I mean, really? Really? She's talking about the Supreme Court. See, they deflect and want to now attack the Supreme Court. See, the Supreme Court is a bigger threat. The Supreme Court is a bigger problem than Joe Biden being in the White House, being compromised. That's not a problem.
And Will,
that's okay.
In this 19-page release about the banks today, the Judiciary Committee also made this comment. They said no one in the Biden's administration or in the minority has explained what services, if any, the Bidens and their associates provided in exchange for the over $20 million in foreign payments. So even they do not want to answer for these, where this money came from, because they can't without admitting that he did something wrong.
Well, they don't want to say, they can't do it.
If they want it to go away, all they have to do is explain it. Tell us what services did he provide? But there were no services other than, like you said, the brand.
Yeah. It is the brand, right? It's 100% the brand. Okay, let me play this one for you. Karine Jean-Pierre. How do y'all feel about this Bidenomics? Right? How do y'all feel about this Bidenomics? Bidenomics. Because they're
Bidenomics.
It's stupid.
Is it like a tongue
But
twister?
Bidenomics. So the thing is with Bidenomics, that actually liberal media, to my understanding, liberal media outlets came up with it. And they came up with it not to be in a good way. But they adopted it, and they're trying to run with it, trying to convince everybody that the gas prices are low. You're okay. Just be happy when you go to the grocery store. Don't pay attention to that. It's okay. You're doing great. And it's not. Listen to this.
The latest CNN poll out just days ago showed that Americans are pretty sour on the state of the economy. They think it's in a downturn or getting worse. About half of respondents. The president's approval rating for his handling of the economy is at 37%, 30% on inflation specifically. From the White House perspective, why is there disparity between the good story, the narrative you think you have to tell, and how it's received by the American people?
So a couple of things, Victor. Look, as we know, polls don't show everything. They don't tell the full story, as you just stated. And we have to remember, if you look at where we were back in the fall of 2022 during the midterm elections, when the president delivered a historic midterms for Democrats, when we think about how, as a Democratic president, he delivered a victory that we hadn't seen in decades, right? And
what does this got to do with you destroying the country? What does that got to do with anything? They're literally destroying the country, and we're supposed to be like, oh, this is just fine. There's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. I got another one I want to share with you. This one, she's actually saying that it's working. It's working as designed. What? You know what? It actually is working as designed. Let me retract that. It is working as designed, because the WEF, where Joe Biden got Build Back Better from, wants to tear down the world economy. And them tearing down the world economy, that's exactly what's happening. They're tearing down the economy of the United States of America. And once they tear down the economy of the United States of America, they tear down this economy, they tear down this country. What happens? It's like the United States of America is that domino. Once they knock this domino over, the rest of the world will fall. And that's their goal. Listen to this.
Why literally fuse the president's name with the economics that Americans aren't very happy with?
See, that's exactly what I was saying a second ago. They came up with that because it's not good. We are in a recession, right? The inflation is ridiculous. The price of goods and services are through the roof. The Feds, just the other day, the Feds were talking about they're going to raise it. The Feds, the interest rate again. Wasn't that correct, Shannon? They're getting ready to raise the interest rate again. Yep. And people are scrambling in the business world. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're getting ready to raise it again. This is going to cause disruption. It's going to cause problems. Now listen to how she reacts, because the Bidenomics was not supposed to be something that's a good label. It's not a good label. Just like, you know what it is? Demonic demons take on demonic labels. Let's go, Brandon. That's not a positive thing. It's really not. Let's go, Brandon has a meaning behind it. And I'm pretty sure everybody is aware of what Let's Go, Brandon means now. And Joe Biden has his whole thing talking about Brandon. He's like his Brandon, he like his Brandon Dark with the coffee, with the eyes glowing. Y'all know what I'm talking about? They just did it the other day. It's not good. Just like Bidenomics. It's not good, but they're trying to adopt it to fool people. That's what that's about. But listen to how she reacts.
Well, here's the thing. Bidenomics is indeed working when we say that you look at the data, right? Cost is going down, right? We think about inflation. When you think about wages going up, that is Bidenomics.
Why?
That's Bidenomics. Really? That's Bidenomics? She's lying. She is straight up lying. How many of y'all think she's telling the truth? Is there anybody here think she's telling the truth? Anybody? Can we put the comments on the screen? Anybody, and I got another one I'm going to share with you, but is there anybody watching right now? And y'all can put on here, yes, KGP is telling the truth. KJP is telling the truth. Karine Jean-Pierre, she's such an honest woman. She tells the truth every time she's on behind the podium and get on the camera. She's such a trustworthy woman. Anybody? I mean, I'm looking right there. I'm looking right here at my screen. And I'm not seeing anybody. Is there anybody? There has to be at least one troll on here, right? Was there a troll on here a minute ago?
Yeah, I got rid of them.
Oh, you got rid of the troll?
More, though.
Okay, if you're a troll, to say yes.
When you start dropping facts, they show up and they start,
They start getting, but everybody's saying no. I'm pretty sure there's probably at least one troll on there somewhere, right? I'm pretty sure one of y'all want to say that she's trustworthy. Or maybe you know that the truth that she's not trustworthy and you don't want to say that she is. She lies every single time. You know why? Because she's a spawn of Satan. Satan has his children, and she is one of them. You know what? Some people may not like me saying that, but we're living in a world where we are in a spiritual battle. And if we don't start acting and start not even acting, if we don't recognize that we're in a spiritual battle, you're going to become a victim in the spiritual battle. You're going to be a casualty of war. Listen to what she says in this one, talking about the economy. Listen.
Here's the thing. This is a president who has spent the last 2 years turning the economy around. You hear us talk about Bidenomics. You just mentioned how we're doing this West Coast swing, talking directly to the American people about how wages are actually going up, about how inflation is going down over a long, extended period of time, more than 12 months. That is important.
It's not what she's lying again. She's lying. Have y'all seen anything that's made the economy a lot better? If that was the case, then the feds won't be talking about raising the interest rate. So who are we supposed to believe? Karine Jean-Pierre, the Biden regime? Are we supposed to believe what we actually see? Don't believe your lying eyes. That's what they're saying. Don't believe your lying eyes. It's really, really interesting. Now, I have something where Joe Biden was talking today, and I want y'all to listen to this. Listen to this, because Joe Biden, actually, I think this one is, split screen it for me. This is Joe Biden right after he was doing this speech today. And as soon as he gets done, guess what happens? He doesn't know where to go. He's having to ask people, which way do we go? Which way do I go? Which way do I go? Which way do I go? I'm going to put it on loop. No, just leave it split screen because it's really short. Which way did he go? Which way did he go? Look at him. And I have to mute the audio because they're playing music on here. But look at that. He's like, which way do I go? Which way to go, George? Which way to go, George? Look at him. And then he goes this way. I mean, really, how do you not know which way to go? He's looked that way. Am I going this way? And then he sees him over there, and then he turns to look the other way. And it's wait a minute. No, I guess I do go this way. I mean, really, this is the most idiotic person to ever set foot in the White House. I used to think George W. Bush was the most idiotic person to step into, but he makes George W. Bush look like a had brilliance. I mean, this is wild. This is wild. Is this not a problem? Dude doesn't even know where he is. He doesn't know where he is. And this is supposed to be acceptable? We're supposed to be like, oh, that's just Joe? I don't think so. There's no just Joe here. So Joe Biden goes to the Grand Canyon. And he's at the Grand Canyon. And he's talking to this reporter there about the weather. Oh, here it is. Here's one Joe Biden talking about the weather. And they're wanting Joe Biden to call a state of emergency for the weather. And Joe Biden says he's already done that. Did y'all know that? Joe Biden says he's already called a state of emergency for the weather. Did you know that, Shannon? He said it's already a national emergency. He's already declared it. That. No, he said he's already declared it. But I didn't know that he's declared it as such. Did you know that?
Well, it says in practice, they're practicing for
in practice. Well, of course, this is a liberal media outlet.
Because you know
they're going to put on there like
they
that.
want the WHO to call it. Once they
want to give control to the WHO
with all the countries to turn over their sovereignty to them when there is a pandemic or emergency, that they'll have control.
Well, they absolutely. They want to give the WHO total control. But listen to this.
Are you prepared to declare a national emergency with respect to climate change?
I've already done that.
He says he's already done it. He's already done it. He's already done it. So does that mean he's already given sovereignty over to the WHO over the United States of America?
I don't know.
Is that what that means? Is that what that means?
I wouldn't be surprised if the White House comes out tomorrow and says, well,
there's been, how many times has that happened? You come out plenty of times, and the White House has to come out and say, that's not what he meant to say. He didn't mean to say that. Even though he did say it, that's not what he meant to say.
Well, the buses are no longer ready. I mean, we're not ready. The bus company went
because
under,
no, it didn't go under. It went belly up.
It went belly up.
Because that was another Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Another Ponzi scheme. I guess, can we say that energy bus system was connected to TPX?
What's TPX? I'm sorry.
Remember it? What's his name? What's the name?
The stock guy.
Yeah. Billions of dollars.
Was it
poof.
F?
Is it FTX?
F.
What did I say? FTX? It's FTX. It just went belly up. Billions of dollars just gone. It's like this bus company. But listen.
We've conserved more land. We've we've rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. We've passed a $368 billion climate control facility. We're moving.
What is that facility? Did you know about that, Shannon? $300 billion control facility? What is that?
Wasn't that in Arizona?
That's the chip.
Okay, yeah.
So
that is the chip.
wait a minute. Am I to believe that the chip deal that they're supposed to be doing, building chips for vehicles and cell phones and computers and televisions, was actually this Green New Deal and not actually a chip deal? Did y'all hear that? Because see, when I first heard that too, I'm like, wait a minute. I thought it was a chip deal.
Well, I thought it was wrapped up in the Green Deal.
But they're making computer chips. And the reason why I was under an impression that they were making computer chips in Arizona, because they say that they want to get away from depending on the computer chips from Taiwan. Or is it Thailand? Right? They want to get away from that. Right? So that means the manufacturing. But he just said it was something else other than a chip manufacturing. Unless he's talking about something else. $300 billion, $300 million later that I didn't know about. That could be it too. The
Paris Climate Accord. We've passed a $368 billion climate control.
$360 billion. Sorry. Yeah. $360 billion control facility.
Control facility. We're moving. It is the existential threat to humanity.
So you've already declared that national emergency.
Well, in the practice, you have a bug on it.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
No, now there's a bug on her, right?
You can't make this up. I just looked up what Biden said, and CNN Politics reported today, right after he almost said it, Biden incorrectly claims he has declared a national emergency. We can't even make it up anymore. We already know. We already know how it's gonna be,
that's exactly what I was saying. I said, wait a minute, I didn't know he declared one. So you even have the Communist News Network fact-checking Joe Biden. Wow. Is that an article, Shannon?
Yeah, and it says a deal was struck with Manchin and Chuck Schumer a little bit more than a week later on the Inflation Reduction Act. Biden signed a bill into law. It includes a $369 billion in funding to combat climate change.
Oh wow! Come on, man! Come on, man! So
he's just misspeaking. He doesn't even know what he's doing. I mean, what?
I could have told you that. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, if you look up, it's like falsely claim, fact check. I mean,
when you have the Communist News Network, or how some people refer to it, the Clinton News Network, or the corrupt news network.
Yeah, the Daily Beast, Politico.
Really, the Daily Beast too?
Yeah, they all.
The Daily Beast, Politico, they're all fact-checking Joe Biden?
Yeah.
What? See, I'm wondering, now, for me to pick up on that, and I'm like sitting here harping on, I'm like, wait a minute. What did he just say? Called a national emergency? What? Because you know what? Maybe they're all of them are actually wanting Joe Biden to call a national emergency. They want him to. They really do. That's why they're probably all fact checking him right now, putting it all out there, saying that he misspoke, saying that no, it's not true, because maybe this will be the pressure they can put on him to go ahead and do it. Do an executive order. Okay, I'm calling a national emergency. There's a reason why he hasn't done it yet. And why do you think he hasn't done it yet?
I already told you why.
Why?
The WHO agreement's not ready.
Oh, okay, with the WHO. Well, here's something else that Joe Biden is wanting to do, and he's wanting to shut down the country. He's literally going to tell everybody right in this video that he's wanting to shut down the country. Shannon, what makes the country go? What makes this? What is the one resource in this country that makes it go?
Fossil fuels.
Fossil fuels. Right. So if you shut it all down, what happens to the country?
Well, we won't be the dominant country anymore.
You promised no new drilling on federal land or offshore. Can you tell Gen Z that you haven't broken your promise?
Yes, because the courts overruled me. The court said I couldn't do it. I wanted to stop all drilling on the East Coast and the West Coast and in the Gulf.
You hear this? He wants to stop all of it. President Trump told everybody that he's going to want to shut all of it down. He's going to want to shut all of it down. And the Gen Z, the ones I see on Twitter are nothing but a bunch of idiots, because they were like, yo, shut it all down, because they can't think past 2 seconds. Bunch of idiots.
Well, you know why he was in Arizona.
Well, yeah, I'm going to get to that in just a second. But let's listen to the rest of this.
But I lost in court. But we're still pushing. We're still pushing really very hard. Look, the alternative is you get everything is better as we have the private sector's coming off the sidelines. They've invested $250 billion in alternative energy.
And she just nodding her head. Okay. Yeah, the court stopped you from doing it. Wow. So Shannon just brought up the reason why he's in Arizona is because they have turned the parts of it in the Grand Canyon into a national park, meaning the resources that are available there and that they've been drilling will have to come to a screeching halt. This dude is undermining our U.S. military.
Right.
This is so bizarre.
He's claiming, and actually, I have an article up on my
Let's put the article on the screen
computer
here.
right now. It says, furious Republicans lay into Biden for his dictator style land grab in Arizona. So like they said, it sounds wonderful, right? President Biden,
like he's coming across like he's wanting to save the environment, save the trees, save the landscape. But nope, there's a more sinister reason behind all of it, and of course, they never reveal that.
Right. It says President Joe Biden on Tuesday designated the 5th national monument of his presidency and unveiled new climate resilience funding for national parks during a visit to lands surrounding one of 7 natural wonders of the world, including the Grand Canyon. Although he said 9 wonders of the world.
Yeah, 9 wonders, and there's only 7.
Get that right.
Did CNN fact check him on that one too? Did CNN fact check him on that one too?
I don't know, but let me scroll through here, because basically, he's saying he's doing this because it's Indian land. There's a reason why they want to protect it. It's beautiful. But where is it? Okay. It says, we strongly condemn this dictator-style land grab that will greatly hurt the Mojave County and further limit private and state land resources needed for our economic viability. This is what they're saying in Arizona. Among those resources is, guess what, Will? Uranium.
Yeah, uranium, which they use in nuclear subs for our Navy. They use them in nuclear subs and so many other things. Right?
Yep.
Right here, so right now, you know what? And we only manufacture, Shannon, 5% in the United States of America for the uranium. The rest of it, the other 95% comes from Russia and Australia, and there's some, I can't remember the other one, but there's some other nations that we get most of it from. So why would we stop it if we get more of this, uranium that we need for our nuclear subs, for our nuclear plants in the country from Russia than we drill our own selves.
Yeah.
What sense does that make? And they always talking about Russia's the problem. Give me a break.
Yeah. So like it says, we basically will become more dependent on our enemies and less self-reliant, less America first.
100%. So, did you know Joe Biden brought the deficit down, Shannon? Did you know that?
Well, he didn't bring it down as much as he raised it.
He's lying, right? It's just like, so let me explain it this way. You know how the gas prices went up to some places $7, and I think the average was like it went up to $5 and something throughout the country, and then they brought it down like $1.20 or something like that. And so then they bring it down. And then they say, well, look, Joe Biden brought the gas down. It's still high, right? It went up a lot. So this is where it was at when Trump was in office. This is right here. Joe Biden comes and raises it, and it goes up to here. And then they bring it down to here. And they say, oh, look, Joe Biden's working for the American people. He brought it down. And then it goes back up to here, and then it comes back that thing here, and it said, we're keeping it down. See, we're keeping it down. And it's not down. And actually, President Trump was down here. President Trump's down here. And they bring it up to here, and they bring it down here, and they say, oh, now we're bringing it down. It's the same thing with the deficit. Joe Biden says, I brought the deficit down $1.7 trillion after they raised it through the roof. And then how many trillions of dollars have we sent to Ukraine? Think about that. Watch what Joe Biden says here. And it's so creepy. This dude is creepy. It's like if he can't sniff someone's head, he's sniffing the microphone.
Unless you make more than $400,000 a year, your federal taxes aren't going to go up a single penny. And guess what? I did all this without raising anybody's taxes in the middle class. And one other little thing. During this process, I cut the federal budget in 2 years by $1.7 trillion.
Nothing he's saying is true. Nothing he's saying is true. And you know, he keeps saying that one number again. If it's the deficit was here. Joe Biden raised it to here, and then he bring it down to here and said that he cut it. But the deficit is steady going up. But he cut it. This dude is a total tyrant, and he's going after President Trump because President Trump is the man. President Trump is who we want. Okay, everybody, that's it for me. I want to thank everybody for being with me this evening. Thank you so much for showing up. I want to say God bless you. My name is Will Johnson, and we just talked about it.